we're so much more screwed up now than we were in 2007, 8 before the crisis, which is why this next crisis is going to be so bad, which is why, Trump shouldn't have poked the bear. I mean, it shows you the arrogance to not realize the fragility of the country. And I know Donald Trump knows that if we lose the dollar's reserve status, because one of the things he's been threatening to do, hey, if I see you moving away from the dollar, I'm going to hit you with tariffs. He said that. Nobody better move away from the dollar, or I'm going to tariff the hell out of you, right? So he knows that that's kind of our Achilles heel. Yet he still risks it. And that's the ultimate. I hear people say, well, would China sell our treasuries? Oh, they would never do something that stupid. Why would they sell our treasuries? Of course, duh. People say, well, China would really get hurt if they sold our treasuries because, it would make the bond market go down and they would take a hit on their treasuries. So why would they do that? No one ever says, well, what would happen to us if they sold the treasuries? It's way worse for us. In fact, if China sells its treasuries, it's good for China because they were going to lose a lot of money if they held them. So the sooner they can get rid of them, the better for China.
But Peter, isn't there?
I think a lot of people on Twitter focus on the stock market, but where you can see, the fragility you talk about is in the bond market. And it just seems like the average, Twitter or financial expert doesn't really understand how bad things are and how levered up funds are and how quickly this whole thing can really
everybody is clueless. They think the Fed is full of a bunch of geniuses when they're actually economic imbeciles. They created all the fires that people credit them for putting out. And they put them out with gasoline. So they're always going to come back worse. People think that they were able to solve the problems because they don't understand the problems that they actually made worse. And that's why, I'm never surprised by this bad stuff because, it's exactly what I say is going to happen. They're constantly surprised by all the things that they never thought were going to happen, which is why, when Powell said that, we're not going to have stagflation, he said, I can't see the stag and I can't see deflation. I was on my podcast saying, well, that's going to go down as subprime is contained and inflation is transitory. I said, there's so much stag, there's so much inflation. It's amazing to say that he doesn't see any evidence. There's evidence all over the place. He's got to be completely blind to that. So the guys that we think are so smart are clueless, absolutely clueless. The economic professors, the ones that rise to the top, they're a bunch of Keynesian fools. That's why they have their jobs. And the guys, the Wall Street economists, are mainly there to help Wall Street sell bonds and stocks to the public. So they put a ribbon on everything, and they're a bunch, they go from academia to the Wall Street firms to government. They all, because you don't get a government job unless you're Keynesian, and Wall Street wants to hire the guys that used to work for government, and it's all like this little circle of morons. And they're all surrounded by themselves, and it's like an echo chamber, and they all reinforce their moronic economic views. And so this is just going to be a disaster, But anyway, I'm not going to go anywhere because we got, a lot of people on the spaces. So I'm willing to keep talking. But I got to take a couple-minute break because I ran out of water. And I have, I'm on antibiotics now, so hopefully that gets, I've had this thing, and it's been in my throat. But I got to get more water, and I got to pee because I drank so much water. Now I got to go to the bathroom. So I got to take a 5-minute break. I'm going to leave my phone right here, and I'm going to come back. So if everybody sticks around, I'm going to come back. And again, what I'm going to do is I have a bunch of people that are that can speak. But what you guys should do is just once you've got a mic, just raise your hand, put the little orange wavy thing up, and then I'll just call on you. So and then as somebody speaks, I'll let you drop, and I'll make somebody else a speaker. All right, I'll be back in a few minutes.
Hence also any aspiration of impartial order, any which depends for its wisdom on the justice of our perceptions of our own needs, is almost certain to be tainted with the very poison of which nature would purge us. There is in fact